Hello, everybody. I want to remind you of something before we get started into this little thing, and that is that I get comments on YouTube and stuff. People saying, you're not saying what you're saying doesn't match up with what everybody else is saying," and I get that pretty frequently. And so and so says this, so and so says that, whatever, and I really don't care what so and so said, to be honest with you. And I don't follow any teaching but my own. I really don't. So I'm not like on YouTube streaming YouTube videos. I mean, like non-dual videos. Occasionally, yes, but not very often. And then for maybe not too long. Occasionally, I will imbibe, but not very often. And the reason that what I'm saying here isn't matching up with what other people are saying is that what I'm doing here is not what everybody else is doing. I know that it all comes under this umbrella of non-duality, but non-duality for me is really just a marketing term. It's a way for me to market these videos, because there's an audience out there, a certain percentage of an audience out there, unfortunately not a large one, who is able to hear what I'm saying. And for them, this is the teaching. It ain't nothing like it. So if it's not for you, I understand that. And videos may be confusing for you, and watch them or don't. But for those of you who can hear me, I know from your letters and your comments and everything else that you are hearing what I say. And that's what this is all about. Nisargadatta said, "You will not hear this elsewhere." And I must say the same. I don't believe you will hear this elsewhere. I know of no one else that is, it doesn't mean that there isn't anybody else, because I don't follow non-duality. But I don't know of anybody else that's teaching this. And I have lots and lots and lots of students and clients, and no one ever tells me, you're just like so-and-so. It just doesn't happen. I hear a lot of, "Wow, nobody's doing what you're doing." And I think that's the reason that this is so effective, is because I'm just simply not doing what others are saying. But I'm not missing the boat. I don't want to do what they're doing. Not to run anybody down, but just this teaching is very successful in helping people wake up. That's it. I can say that without saying anything. Now, do you ever wonder what happens when you go to sleep? I bet you do. And there's a lot of discussion about it in the non-dual community. And what I want to tell you is that you don't sleep. See, the person who asked that question, "What happens when I go to sleep?" that being, that unit sleeps, but you don't sleep. There is, and there are not actually three states. We hear a lot about, waking, dreaming, and dreamless sleep. Well, sometimes Nisargadatta would be good enough to tell you the truth, which is that there's not but two states. And that's my experience. And I hope to share that with you here, which is there are only two states: waking and dreaming. Those are the two states. Deep dreamless sleep is not a state. It's statelessness. It is statelessness. It's not the presence of a dreamer or one who, there's not the presence of someone who sometimes dreams and someone who sometimes walks around and calls this dream real, right? So we got it half right. There's a dream at night, but we just moved from dream to dream. This is a dream also. And your real core dream is that you're a Tom or a Bob or a Carol or a Susan watching this, right? And that's your biggest, that's your core dream. That's what screws up trying to find out, trying to wake up Fred, like I did for 24 years. I tried to wake up Fred, and then I came to find out there ain't one. So There wasn't one that could wake up. There's not an awakened being in truth. We use that phrase, and I'm not saying it's not a skillful phrase. I'm just saying that in truth, there are no awakened beings on the planet. You know, there's no unawakened beings on the planet either, right? There is wakefulness, and there is awakeness, but there's nothing else. Consciousness is an appearance that rises and falls, and you will notice that it rises and falls with units. In other words, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, or which comes first, consciousness or the unit? I'm going to suggest that it's essentially just like the chicken and the egg, or or whatever. They're just deeply tied together. There's no, where there is one, there is the other. That's the best way I can put it. Where there is one, there is the other. But in between and on either end of consciousness, what you got there? What do you recall from prior to the birth of that unit? I don't recall anything prior to the birth of this one. Now, I hear a lot of stories about what's going to happen after death, but you don't die either. You don't die. That unit will die, but you will not die. See, you haven't been born. And the really big payoff for not being born is that you don't have to die. So consciousness arises with units and it falls with units. And consciousness is not the end all be all. The consciousness falls and there's no more sense of being. Does that mean there's no thing? Yeah, it means there's no thing, but I don't know that it means that there's nothing. There is, although having a lot of intuition in regard to this, I will say that it looks like it's nothing. So, but I don't know what it is. I can't tell you because it's untellable, it's unsayable, it's untransmittable. But what we can say is that there is experiencing. And when does that experiencing occur? When there is consciousness afoot. And when does experiencing stop? When consciousness stops. And when does consciousness stop? Well, consciousness stops not only upon the death of the host unit, but it also falls every night. People tell me, Fred, how do I surrender? And I'm telling you, you do it twice a day, if you will. Awakeness drops consciousness every night, and it drops dreaming, the dreaming state, or the statelessness every morning. We move from state to state, except for when there is statelessness, and then we can't say anything about we. We can't say anything about me, because there's simply nothing there. You can't know yourself where there isn't anything. There's no sense of being. So when consciousness drops away in deep dreamless sleep, because there's consciousness present as long as this thing is walking around on the planet, and it's consciousness present as long as this thing is dreaming. It doesn't have to remember dreams. It's just as long as this thing is dreaming, then consciousness is present. But when this thing is absolutely inert, it's not dreaming or anything else, then there is no consciousness. Consciousness drops instantly and it arises instantly. Look at how you wake up in the morning. Do you wake up and go, oh, and put your feet over the bed and then say, God Almighty, I wish consciousness would show up. I wish awakeness would show up. No, it's there from the moment that that's what awakening is, what waking up is. It's the presence of consciousness from an absence moving into a presence of. So there is suddenly a presence of consciousness, and that can arise. That it doesn't take any time, it's beyond time. We can't understand this because it's outside of our understanding. That's a real good reason why we can't understand it. But we can grok it. You can grok this. If you listen to this video and listen to this video, I guarantee you'll grok this. Well, I mean, I can't guarantee it because I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hopeful. and I'm optimistic. How about that? But I can't say what's going to happen because I don't know. Because this thing is part of that. Anyway, how the hell can it know what the rest of this is going to do? It's just oneness. So when oneness is turning, so to speak, everything is turning. Everything. It's not a matter of things linking. It's more like things meshing. And that's still an analogy, yeah, but it's not. That's not the actual truth, because there's no meshing, because oneness can't mesh with anything else, but it meshes with itself, so to speak. We run out of words when we're trying to describe this or talk about this, or for God's sake, trying to teach somebody something, because there's nobody there, right? So, and I know that, just like you know that. But notice that these units are doing it anyway. So I can't shut this one up, and you can't either. Some of you have tried. It just does what it does. Anyway, I don't have any big hullabaloo. I just thought you might want to know what actually happens when you go to sleep. And the answer is number one is that you do not sleep. Does that mean that there is always self-awareness? No, there's never actually, there's really never exactly self-awareness, because there's no self. There is a wearing. And that is just an offshoot of the potentiality from which all of this arises. There's the potentiality of everything, and it arises, and it plays out, and it takes form, and then it does the same thing that it happens when you put gold earrings and necklaces and bracelets in a pot and melt them down. It just goes back into the pot, so to speak, and then boom, it's a new day. And this arising is not exactly, doesn't look exactly like the other one. This arising is a little different than the other one. And it's the same arising always. It's only the content. Well, it's the content that changes. So it's not the same arising, but it's the same platform. It's the same platform upon which arisings occur. And the content of arisings change always, but the platform doesn't. The platform is absolutely untouched by anything outside of it, because the only thing that's outside of it is images, illusions. I think I'll leave you on that note. It's kind of mysterious. See you later. Bye-bye.